I want to talk about the controversy that's exploded over Ellen DeGeneres being friends with George W. Bush and defending her friendship with him. And I actually knew about this friendship for a while between what seems in some way sort of like an unlikely pair of people who would be friends, a leftist lesbian talk show host and a neocon Republican former president. And, I think it's fine. But part of Ellen's commentary on this hasn't been good, and I want to talk through it with you because, as I've said before, it's really profitable to have a take on this that is either 100% on one side or 100% on the other. And the truth is that there actually is some nuance here that I think is relevant to discuss. And I've been very careful over the last 2.5 years of the Trump presidency not to inadvertently rehabilitate George W. Bush's image. So when I say Trump is much worse than even George W. Bush on this or on that, I want to couch it and make it clear that I am not looking back at the George W. Bush presidency through rose-colored glasses or in any way minimizing the horrors of the war criminality and all of the stuff that George W. Bush did. And the reason that I think this is important is that with time, it's easy to forget how disgustingly terrible George W. Bush's presidency was. And many of my viewers were really young during that presidency and may not even really remember it. So they're getting a lot of their understanding of that presidency from what I happen to offhandedly say. That's why I take it really seriously not to in any way rehabilitate George W. Bush's image when I compare him to Donald Trump or to anything else. So the other day, George W. Bush and Ellen DeGeneres are spotted together at a football game in Texas, having a grand old time. And some people started to be mad about it. How dare Ellen be friends with someone as horrible as George W. Bush? And the controversy got big enough that Ellen responded to it on her show. She did a several-minute segment on her show. Now, the right thing to do this segment correctly would be to play the video for you now. And I planned to do it. But yesterday, a bunch of people got copyright strikes and their YouTube accounts got completely destroyed by Ellen's production company for using a clip of the show. And I don't want to do that. I think that'll be counterproductive to the segment. So find the video online of her response. It's very easy. She essentially said, listen, I'm friends with lots of people I don't agree with on politics. We should be kind to everyone. When I say be kind to everyone, I mean everyone, not just people we agree with politically. I'm friends with people who wear fur and I don't wear fur and I'm still friends with them. But when we say be kind to everyone, I mean be kind to everyone. This is a paraphrasing of her response, but you can pause this video if you're watching on YouTube, find that video and then come back. I just want to avoid the problem of the wrath of Ellen's production company if I play the video. Now, she almost has it right in a sense, but she goes too far. So if you want me to sit here and say, there's nothing wrong with what Ellen said, this is great, bipartisan friendships, I'm not going to say that. If you want me to condemn Ellen as a terrible person for what she said and saying it's completely wrong, I'm also not going to do that. There is a good message in there, okay? If people were able to get along in general better across party lines, across religious lines, cultural, whatever, society would be much better off. And Ellen is right. I mean, we all have families and friends and colleagues, and you can't at every opportunity that you meet someone with a different opinion, even an opinion you find disgusting, start attacking and yelling even during a football game and say, I will not be around this person. You are not going to be invited anywhere. It's not a pragmatic way to carry about your life. That part of the message, Ellen is 110% spot on about. But this is a former president, okay? So for Ellen to simply say, we have disagreements, just like I know people who wear fur and I don't, but we're still friends, it suggests a sort of political amnesia about the fact that George W. Bush is not just your uncle who is against abortion, right? And I think that that's the problem I had with Ellen's response. George W. Bush is a war criminal with blood on his hands, whose decisions as president led to the deaths of thousands of American soldiers, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians. She's going in the direction of almost suggesting that these are differences like tastes in food or wine. But What we're talking about is one of the biggest foreign policy blunders in modern American history that led to endless death, sanctioning totally un-American torture by the US government, campaigning against LGBT rights, by the way, Ellen, of course, being a lesbian herself, scaling up the war on drugs, really, really bad. And then a lot of hangers-on pop up, and then they play the role of the enlightened centrist. And this is just so stupid with really bad takes. Here's one example. There's a Hawaii congresswoman named Tulsi Gabbard, who is running for president, actually, who tweeted, quote, Ellen's message of being kind to all is so needed right now. Enough with the divisiveness. We can't let politics tear us apart. There are things we will disagree on strongly and things we agree on. Let's treat each other with respect, aloha, and work together for the people. So listen, this is a fine message in general, but that doesn't mean you have to apply it to the few people on the planet who are actual war criminals and whose decisions have actually led to the deaths of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Now, there will be people who say, but David, the truth is every president is responsible for deaths through foreign policy, right? So does this mean you can't ever be friends with any president? No, I'm not even saying I have a problem with Ellen's friendship with George W. Bush, but the sort of flippant and glib nature of not saying it's not just disagreements, it's his completely boneheaded decisions were not only discriminatory against an entire class of people, which I am a member of, and led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands. No, it's just, listen, some people wear fur and I don't. And it's just, we're friends or whatever. So I want to be really clear. This is not about cancel Ellen. I tweeted about this a couple of days ago and people started writing back, wow, David, you're cancel culture now. You're trying to get Ellen canceled because she's not being partisan. You're part of the problem. No, I like Ellen. She can be friends with George W. Bush. I don't have a problem with the friendship per se, even. I'm sure on a personal level, he's a nice guy. He'll tell you about his paintings that he does and whatever. But the reason that I'm okay with the friendship is that ideally with friendships like these, we would be preventing people like George W. Bush from doing the horrible things that he did when he got into power in the first place. In other words, we can't diminish the sick nature of what he did to equating it to choices about food, wine, or wearing fur or not. And that's where Ellen loses me. This is a war criminal with the blood of hundreds of thousands of people on his hands who were optional casualties of his administration. There can be a limit to unconditional kindness that doesn't make us terrible people. Would we apply the same thing to, I'm thinking out loud, I don't know the answer. Would we say, listen, Osama bin Laden did terrible, terrible things, but I'm about being kind to everybody and we're going to go hang out and watch soccer in Pakistan or wherever else. I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. What about a mass murderer? Treating someone with respect versus describing things as mere choice disagreements is a problem. So in the big picture, more discussion, more friendship, socializing between people with political differences is good. But saying that she and Bush merely have differences of opinion is political amnesia or it's indifference of the worst kind. That's the problem I have with it.